This is an honest review of Sheltered 2. Let's take a look at the options. So to change your graphics, there's not really that many settings. There's a handful of stuff, but nothing really outstanding. And all of your keys are rebindable, as you would expect. So you immediately start creating your faction flag, your name, and designing up your own faction. You then go into choosing your leader, who you can customize, his gender, his hat, clothes, and his stats, which are going to be very pinnacle to any of your settlers that you have in your bunker. Now, your stats can determine your carry weight, type of weapons you use, speech checks, his health, any of that. This is where you're going to change up those. And then there's traits, which will give your people, it's only your leaders, certain perks or degradations to what they can do. So when you first start out in the game, you're going to start out with 3 people. That's including your leader. And you're immediately going to want to start dismantling everything. This is very crucial that you have very good resource management, because this game is all about being as efficient as you can and building as much as you can as efficiently as possible. Now, the crafting in this game is very good. It's broken up into 4 tiers, and they all have either upgraded versions of the previous tier, or they also offer different versions of those things. A part of the crafting is going out into the world to scavenge and loot these places for supplies. So you send your settlers out to go scavenge spots. After they get there, which takes, X amount of time, they will show you all the loot that they have. Now, it's very important that when you're looting this, because your people can only carry so much, that you're going to have to manage, okay, what is it that I need, what is it that I don't need, so that way you know what you need in order to go back to your settlement to use it as efficiently as possible. Now, once you get back to your settlement, you're going to be able to break down certain objects, to break them out into their core components, to use them to upgrade the rest of your bunker, which is, that's the game, right? The game is surviving and just surpassing the rest of the factions. Now, these factions, though, are like the other main part of the game, right? So you're going to go out into here, and you're going to run into different factions that are going to be used to help you, right? So as soon as you go into territory of another faction, you're going to run into a person from that faction. They're going to be like, hey, listen, what are you doing here? You're like, hey, why don't we team up? And they're going to be like, yeah, okay. This is how every conversation goes. It's very it feels, repetitive. Now, speaking of encounters, the combat in this game is turn-based, and they will randomly appear while you're going out into the wasteland. Now, the cool thing about the combat is that you can actually select what body parts you want to attack, and depending on what body part you choose will depend on certain effects that can happen, right? So here, I always go for the head, because what will happen is you have a chance to subdue. And what subduing is you pretty much kill them without killing them, and it hastens up the encounter. And then after you finish off the people, you take their loot that you can. Again, more resource management, but it's all very important. Now, as you go through the game, you'll level up your people, either through training in the bunker or in the real world, and then you'll be able to select perks, what you want out of them. It's very important that you train your people very appropriately. I went to assault this opposing faction bunker, and you want to make sure that you have your guys kitted out. This encounter here was really easy because I had prepped for it before. I knew, I'm like, look, I know these guys are tough, so I was able to train them up, get them good gear, get them good stats, unlock the right abilities, right? All of the abilities you'll notice in the game, they're all powerful, right? But I found that the way that I like to play is just as fast as I can take them out is the best way to go. And so after you take out the team, or anyone as normal, you take them, you then take their loot as much as you can, do more resource management if you need be. Now, because it's a faction, what'll happen is you'll lose reputation points, and the team will start to, they'll start to hate you. You know what I mean? Like, they will hunt you down. And this is the game, right? What you're doing is you're going through the wasteland. You're building up your teams. You're dominating the waste-ridden world. Whether it's just straight power through your point, whether you're negotiating with, other alliances, this is the game. And the way that it is so much fun. This is a very fun game. Oh my gosh. I mean, this is one of those games where you go in, you've been playing for 5 to 6 hours, and it feels like maybe an hour. It's just the exploration is massive. It has a very good amount of micromanaging, but right before it gets too much, it picks up and goes again. Now, the only problem with this game, and I would honestly say probably the biggest problem, is the AI with your settlers are atrocious. So there is a mechanic in the game where you can have the settings for your people to auto take care of their needs, right? So if I've got a guy that's hungry or thirsty, what'll happen is they'll automatically take care of themselves without me having to manually choose them. Now, that sounds great and all. However, I don't know what happens, but I'll have a guy who's red on sleep. I mean, dude's about to freaking go stone cold into the ground. But instead, he'll decide, oh, well, you know what? I think I want to go upstairs and use the bathroom. And then after that, I think I want to go eat a nice broccoli soup. Meanwhile, in the middle of eating his soup, he'll just fall over stone cold. Now, the problem with that is that gives your people negative modifiers, right? There's a hope system, or not a hope system. There's a mood system, right? So depending on how happy your people are, it depends on their productivity during combat, during just the way that they function throughout the bunker, right? Now, their mood can be affected by many things. I mean, guys, you have to remember, this is what I would consider like a pretty solid RPG. Their mood can be affected by many things. Maybe they got food poisoning. Maybe they got into an argument with one of your people because you weren't there to break it up. Maybe they passed out like a moron on the floor instead of going into the bed, right? They'll be upset because they slept on the floor instead of not the bed. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that affects the mood of your people. And while you're playing this game, it really does feel like you're surviving out here. I mean, it's like if you were running this bunker, what is it that we need to do? Okay, guys, we need to go get some supplies. Okay, let's set up a resource team. You guys are going to head out here. And then, here's your rations that you need. Go out, do your thing, come back, right? Meanwhile, okay, how's everyone else doing? Okay, you're getting the munchies, go eat some food, right? I mean, it kind of gets a little immersive or unimmersive. I mean, you shouldn't have to tell someone to go to the bathroom, but you can overlook that stuff. And then, you're building up your bunker to become more and more like home. I mean, this bunker becomes your home, and you want it to be the best that it can be. Like I said, if you really were interested in this is what you're going to get, and it's an excellent buy. So I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.